retail sales in America during the crucial holiday season set a new record. Shoppers dropping nearly $1 trillion in November and December, an increase of about 4% from the year 2022. But the ease of online shopping that's increasingly driving sales is also driving an enormous volume of returns. And with that, a big rise in fraud. Owen Fairclough reports.
3, 2, 1, go!
An ugly sweater race underway. These competitors embracing that perennial holiday gift, including socks and scarves. They're either a charm or a curse, depending on your taste.
But at least those ugly sweaters aren't contributing to a growing glut of unwanted merchandise. In an era when online shopping is so easy, those items or gifts you either didn't want or didn't need are adding up to billions of dollars in returns for retailers and a growing fraud problem.
The US National Retail Federation says retailers sold more than $5 trillion of goods in 2023, $964.4 billion alone during the November to December holiday season. But $743 billion worth of merchandise was returned. And the amount of fraudulently returned goods is particularly eye-catching. Out of those returns, nearly $102 billion were fraudulent. That equates to nearly $14 for every $100 of merchandise returned.
And it doesn't stop there. A quarter of those fraudulent returns were made either with bogus receipts or where the sender has switched out items of a lower value. And in one case, a box that was supposed to contain a return TV turned out to be filled with bricks. Retailers are under such pressure, particularly during that all-important holiday season, that goods are often refunded before they've been inspected.
But retailers are cracking down on this fraud. In 2022, they allowed 22% of returned goods without a receipt. In 2023, that number had dropped by half. And the ultimate winner in all of this is the reverse logistics industry and bargain hunters. This sector specializes in taking unwanted inventory from retailers, including returns, and selling it at steep discounts. Owen Fairclough, CGTN, Washington.
Wow, I had no idea. Well, to talk more about the issue of online returns, we're joined by Mikel Lindsaar. He is the CEO and founder of StoreConnect, an e-commerce solutions provider working to reduce e-commerce return rates for small to medium-sized businesses. A very noble occupation you have there, but let's talk about what we just heard Owen report. I mean, let's talk about some of the factors that contribute to the high volume of return in online retail sales.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Sean. Look, the online return problem, I mean, as the report just said, you know, it was almost $750 billion came back. It's a ridiculous amount of money. But one of the things we found is that small to medium businesses are really the ones getting caught up in this, and it's becoming an absolute insane pressure on top of them to try and maintain this return rate and this expectation, which has really been set by the Goliaths in the room, like Amazon and eBay, with these free returns and building this expectation in the market that you can just order 3 or 4 different things and just return what you don't want. You know, it's creating a expectation in the industry, which really is not sustainable for all of the small to medium businesses out there. And I really think this is a lot of the cause of where we're at right now. You know, the return rate is more of a symptom than a underlying problem, which is how do we make sure that customers are buying the things that they actually need and want, as opposed to guessing online? Yeah,
but then, you know, you heard that, thank heavens, that's one issue and one issue only. Somebody having the nerve load up bricks and sending it back saying, hey, this is my TV, I want my money back. Let's talk about specific challenges that the online retailers do face maintaining profitability. You did talk about the medium ones during the big behemoths, but we heard about all that wonderful sales volume in the United States during holidays. What kind of effect does that have? What kind of damper does it put on?
Well, what it does is it causes these small to medium retailers, and we've got to understand most of the online sales that are happening outside of those behemoths are family-run small businesses, right? And they don't have the resources to handle these massive rates of return. And a lot of what we're seeing is that the wrong items are being sent, or there's not enough information on the product, and that's causing the shoppers to buy the wrong items and get that done. Fraud is another whole problem, obviously. You know, if people are going to steal from you, they're going to steal however they want to steal, right? And that's obviously a problem. One of the ways to combat that is to charge for the returns that are coming back in. And we're seeing a lot more of that happen across the industry now.
Yeah, Amazon, I know, is at least talking about it if they don't have plans for that down the road. Now, obviously, retailers really do what they can. They bend over backward to appease customers. They want this person back. But how far does it go? And is it different? You did talk about the fraud. You know, if someone's going to try and rip you off, they're going to do it. I know that you're online, but what about, how do you gauge what goes on online as opposed to a brick and mortar store? Is it easy to rip those guys off as well?
Yeah, I mean, the problem with online is you don't have the person right in front of you, right? In a brick and mortar store, you can make some calls and get payment, and you can both look at that product, and yes, it's there. You know, there's a lot more of that trust that's built up over time. There are products that are coming to market that we're working with at StoreConnect that allow retailers to get like a confidence score in terms of when they're going to ship the product and have an expectation on whether or not this is likely to be a fraudulent return, and if it is going to come back down that line. They're all products that retailers can definitely look into and definitely combat this problem. But I think one of the underlying things is really this idea of what we're trying to push of customer commerce, of really leveraging that small business superpower of getting to know their customer, you know? So in these really large online stores, you get the situation where people are just buying everything because they don't really have a relationship with that business. They're just buying what they feel like and then return the rest. But in a small business, it's a real superpower to really get to know that customer and really build that relationship over a period of time. And I think that's where a lot of the profits are being left on the table for the small business sector. They're treating each of those transactions coming in as just another transaction instead of building that relationship with the customer. And when you build that relationship with the customer doesn't want to rip you off, and you start building enough of those, and that handles it.
Okay, this came to mind during our conversation, things you brought out. It wasn't pre-planned, but I ordered a nice bookshelf sometime around Christmas. It came and was a big chip down the side, and it was big. And I said, you know, look, guys, I appreciate what you did, but I just don't want it. So the guy called customer service while I was there, and customer service said, just have him donate it. Just have him take care of it. So they were going to leave this giant thing, and I was like, I don't want it. So, but what? Yeah. So tell me how your company can deal with something like that, because clearly this company is going out of its way to make sure I'm happy and call them back.
Yeah, you know, these sorts of challenges really come down to knowing your customer, and that's really what we're trying to help our small businesses with. It's how do you know that, you know, Sean's a great person, or someone that we've been working with, maybe you've ordered before. You can get a bit more of a profile information and really look after that customer and turn it into a good experience, right? And a lot of these businesses don't have their systems set up in order to be able to deal with that return. You know, there's obviously a cost to recover it as well, and all this sort of thing. So it comes down to knowing your customer, really. And if you know your customer and you can deal with them at a reality level that customer understands, you'll do fine in business. And this is true of all business relationships. Like, this isn't rocket science. But what I've seen happen is that the small businesses are being forced into this, for want of a better word, a transactional economy where Sean's just ordering another shelf. You know, it's just another number. We've got to get these small businesses back to that individual relationship building environment where they're really getting to know their customers. And you might think, well, that's a bit expensive. Well, the alternative is obviously proving even more expensive.
Yeah,
so
not having customers.
That's really the route that we're trying to help.
Is not good. Hey, Mikel Lindsaar, thanks so much. I really appreciate it. I'd love to follow up with you down the road and see how companies deal with this. Thank you again.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me.